Hi friends, welcome to our channel. In our last video, we have seen our React project structure. In this video, we are going to see how our React application is starting and rendering the content dynamically. Also, we will go deeper into some of the major files and we will see on each term and what it defines. Let's start. Already I have opened our React project in Visual Studio Code. Now I have to start our React application. For that I am going to open the inbuilt terminal of Visual Studio Code. You can even use our default command prompt. As we seen in last video, we will have the list of scripts in package.json. Here we are going to use the start command to start our application. We will append npm in front of our command. On giving npm start, it will start our application in our development server. Once our application is successfully compiled, it will automatically open our application in a browser. Our development server is running in the watch mode, which means whenever we are making any changes in our project, it will automatically detect and recompile our code. Now let's see how our React application is starting. Whenever we are giving npm start command, it will execute this script. This script can be found under the node modules folder. Let's search for it. Inside this React script package, you can find a bin folder, and this is the file which gets executed first. Here you can find a switch case which will be switching based on our argument that we are passing with our script. In our case, we are giving start as an argument in our script. So in the script folder, it will search for that corresponding script file. If you search in the script folder, you can find start.js file. This will get executed, and here you can find multiple configuration, and we are going to concentrate only on the webpack configuration. Let's navigate to that config file. If you see this file, here we have to note two things. The first thing is the template file which gets executed while starting our server. I mean, this is the template file that gets hosted to the browser. So it's using HTML webpack plugin. And another file we have to see is the entry file, which can be found under the entry objects. Here you can find the app index.js file. Both the files are taken from this path object, which is nothing but from the path.js file. So here you can find the path of those files. So it defines clearly that index.html is the template file which gets hosted to the browser while starting our application. And also in the same way, index.js is the script file which gets executed while starting our application. It might be a bit confusing, guys. Let's have a quick recap. When we are giving npm start command, it will execute the script that was mentioned in the package.json file. This will further execute the binary file which is under the bin directory of that corresponding package. In this file, you can find the conditional scripting based on the argument that we are giving while running the script. In our case, we are giving the start command since it will start the start.js file. In the start.js file, we can have the multiple configuration, and we are looking into the webpack configuration, which will be under the config folder. In the webpack configuration file, we have to note two things. First is the entry point, which is the app index.js file, and its path is defined in the path.js file. And another file is the template file, which is the app.html file. Both of these file paths can be found in path.js file, and it defines that the template file that is rendering while starting the application is index.html file, and the script file that is executing is index.js file. Our template file, which is index.html file, is a normal HTML file. Here you have to note one important tag, which is the div tag with id as root. Here we are going to mount all our dynamic content, and this dynamic content will be mounted using our index.js file. Here you can see all the imports that are required for this particular file. Here we are importing this React module. Even though we are not using it directly in this file, we have to import it, because whenever we are rendering and returning the HTML content, Behind the scenes, its dependencies will be used here. Next is the React DOM, which is used to manage our DOM elements. Here we are using is one of the method, which is the render method. And in this index.css file, you can find all the stylings that are related to this application. Usually we will have global styling of this application. Next we are importing the app component here and we are using its content in the render method. Now let's look on to this, what is this render method. Here we have two arguments. In the first argument we are passing the content that needs to be rendered, whereas in the second argument we have to specify the element where we have to mount this content. In this case we are mounting this content in an element which is having an id as root, which is nothing but the element that we have seen in index.html file. So this content will be mounting here. This is just a component. Here in our case this is a root component, and this root component might have several nested components. This content is nothing but our HTML elements. To make you understand easier, now forget the components and all. Just I am going to replace it with normal HTML tag, which is h1 tag. Let's have a short content here. Hi guys. So if I am saving these changes, so what will happen in this ID, this h1 tag will be mounted. Let's see what's the output. If you inspect this, you can find that this h1 tag is mounted in this div tag with the id as root that we have seen in index.html file. Now let's revert it back. Now you understand how the content is binding to this root element. Now we will see what is there in this app component. In this file you can see a JavaScript class that is inheriting the properties of this component class. This component is being imported from our React library. As we seen earlier, we have to import this React module wherever we are rendering and returning our HTML content like this. So here you can find a render method which will be called by the React, and it will return this JSX code after converting it into the proper HTML elements. So as of now you might not aware of what is JSX. In our next video we are going to see on what is JSX and how React is handling and converting it into the HTML element. Basically components will return the manipulated HTML codes. These HTML codes will be binding here. Here we have only one root component, but we can have several nested components, and all the dynamic content will be binding to the same div through this render method. That's it guys. I hope in today's video you got some idea on how React application is starting and rendering the content dynamically. As I said, in our next video we will see what is JSX. If you think this video is informative, please share with your friends. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave it in comments. Also, please subscribe to our channel to learn more technologies in an easier way. Thank you.